So when you got into it, you said, hey, I'm going to try this thing. So what were you thinking at the time before you started, right? Because this is where everyone is right now, well, the majority of people. I want to do this thing on social media. Everyone says it's going to take a while. We're in a boring industry. I don't even know what to talk about. So what was your thinking before you got into it?
Yeah. So, I mean, I want to start off that it wasn't like the first post I came out with, all of a sudden it was success. You know, it was probably a month and a half, 2 months. I know that still sounds short.
Whoa. Oh, okay. Wow.
But it was, you know, there was a lot of thought that got put into this, and really more than anything, through the last 2 years almost, I launched my first TikTok. I believe it was around October of 2020. But YouTube, we didn't start till October of 2021. So you can imagine that crazy growth.
So you went the other way. You started TikTok first, and then what? You pushed people to YouTube?
I started uploading my older content to YouTube, and then it started gaining traction. And that's been the kind of the thing that I've noticed with all of my videos. I mean, we tried it in the very beginning to post it on all platforms, but it takes a lot of time, especially when in those early days it was basically just me. And my cousin, who's my director. And so it still kind of is like that. So it's still just a lot of time to even do the reposting as easy as it is. And so we kind of delayed doing YouTube for a while, but then of course now that blew up. But over these 2 years, we've, really perfected the things that we know, can get people's attention, how to make it more relevant, how to make it more valuable for people. All those things are really important when you come into this. But when it comes to starting out, as you asked, you really want to, my biggest piece of advice for people in just a general sense is don't just jump into it. If you haven't started it yet, then you're actually in a good place. You actually have all the time in the world to build up this inventory. It's not like people are like, where's your content? Where's your content? When you're in my position, you're like, we don't have enough stuff for every single day, and it can get stressful. And I wish I could go back to having, 100 or even 20 videos ready before. And so when you're in this position where you haven't started yet, you should be focusing on really coming up with a game plan and building an inventory of videos, especially because most of your listeners out there have jobs, their normal 9 to 5 or whatever hours they're working jobs, that they find it very difficult to make the time to make content. So do yourself a favor and build up an inventory, so that way you have a little bit of a cushion as you go into it.
So it's going to be a fun conversation. Got a ton of questions. So first one. So what was your pre-plan before you started to publish, or before you started to hit? You said that you planned out content, quality, topic, so what was your strategy, let's call it, or your content approach for the topics and how you were going to publish?
Yeah, it has evolved. I would say in the beginning,
especially in the beginning, because in the beginning, the hardest part is to get traction. And then after that, there's a whole nother challenge, but we'll start with the first challenge.
Well, in the very beginning, my goal it wasn't to become viral. I was just hoping my friends would see my face and maybe their friends and give me a call about a car accident or something. But that said, I put my, head into thinking about what, would be some valuable tips for people. And, I figured why, limit it exactly to personal injury. I wanted to kind of give people more of a general thing. And that expanded over time as well. I always tell people when they're thinking about what to post about, you should stay within your niche. I'm in a little different of a situation because I'm trying to educate about every aspect of the law, but you don't want to necessarily do that, because then you're going to get, if you're looking for leads and customers, you're going to get customers and leads related to the topics you post, which is true to this day. Anything I post about, I will get comments and calls about it. Mm-hmm. But that initial process of thinking was really about what's the value I'm going to give. It really comes down to that. People, there's different forms of value. There's entertainment value, there's inspiration, there's education, right? And if you can kind of combine all three of those, or at least two of them, then you're going to have a better formula, right? There's people out there who just don't entertain, and they just, I think you've probably seen them on TikTok or the other social media platforms that talk really close to the camera, spit out the information, still gets a bunch of views, right? But I do think if that person was a little more entertaining, and probably get even more. So the idea is to find a way to provide valuable information, but at the same time, some entertainment. And that's what I kind of wanted to do when I came out with these initially, was like, all right, what do I think people care about when it comes to the law? What are their most common legal questions? What is a entertaining way I can insert my personality in that? And, if I think it was funny, then maybe they'll find it funny. And if they don't, well, then, I guess I got to go back to the drawing board. But with social media, a lot of it is not so much about building the biggest audience. It's about building that, audience that really connects with you. And so I think the focus should be less on the numbers and more on the engagement that you're getting from the people. And if you're putting your personality out there, you're bound to find people who dig it and people who don't, and you want to go with the people who dig it, and that's fine. I mean, that means you have a stronger connection with people than if you, kind of keep your personality out of it, which is a huge problem with lawyers. They're very scared to show any type of emotions.